Crap. Okay. Okay. All right. So this is pretty much at a high level some of the tools that are used for testing. I want to show you another tool which is also very interesting, which is called Jmeter. Okay. So let's open search for Jmeter, download. Search for Apache Jmeter and download. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to click on this zip file. This is not found. So Jmeter is used to test performance, load and performance testing. Okay. So Postman is you are sending one request at a time and you're getting back one response. That's just a functional testing. That means you're trying to verify whether it's working okay or not. Okay. But if you want to do load testing, you want to send thousands of requests at the same time, right? So Jmeter will help you do that. Is it working for you guys or is it just for me? Oh, it says not found. Everything is not found. I found this thing. Archive is working. All this. Okay. The one link I found is there. Look for source, and I installed the second one, which is a source zip file. Okay. So try that out. So I want to show you a high level of Jmeter. So Jmeter is for performance and load testing. Okay, perfect. Okay, got all these files there. Okay. So, no, it's just a source files. I don't want the source. I want the executable. To binary. Okay, now it's working actually. Okay, fine. All right, so I'm going to send you the link for this. It didn't work 2 minutes back, but now it's working. Okay, so download that link that I sent you in the very end. Okay, Jmeter file. It's loading up for me. So, okay. So what I did is I downloaded the zip file, I uncompressed it, and I'm looking at the binary folder, bin folder, and in there is a Apache Jmeter file that I'm launching it. Let me just on. That's right. Yes, looks like it's going to take 2 minutes. In the meanwhile, I want you guys to install this and uncompress it also. The JMeter is also similar to Postman in that you're going to specify what is the request going to look like, what is the header information and all that. But when you press the button, say send, it's not going to send one request. It's going to send hundreds of requests. You can specify how many requests you want to send, but yeah, it's going to. You can even specify 1,000 requests. Okay, so it's going to send all the 1,000 requests to the server, and the server will be so overloaded that you can see how it behaves. Okay, so you can see that is it going to crash? Is it going to work fine? If it's going to work fine, how long is it taking for each request, or in the sense for the thousands of requests? It might be working fine, but it may take 10 seconds, 20 seconds for it to send back the response. Okay, so the JMeter is going to time all that statistics, how long it's taking for each of the requests and all that. Okay, so this is very similar to a real world example. Let's say you have a ebay.com server and you want to test thousands of people hitting that server, right? So JMeter can simulate those kind of scenarios. So very few people in the market know this JMeter tool. So if you know this tool, you are far ahead of a lot of people out there. Yeah, a lot of people use Postman, SoapUI. It's common tools, but JMeter, very few people use it. It's taking a long time. Okay, we're almost there. Okay, so I got it uncompressed. I'm going to the binary folder and I'm going to click on this Apache Jmeter file. Hopefully it's gonna, okay, perfect. So it's loading up JMeter, and this is how the JMeter looks like. Beautiful. Font, I can't even see the font. So you guys are not able to see that either. Okay. I mean, I can see it, but I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not. If you are able to install it or uncompress it, then try to run this file, which is Apache Jmeter, which is an executable jar file. Okay, so run that file, and you'll be able to see this window, which is a Jmeter window. Okay, yeah, so you're gonna see this Jmeter window. I want you to pretty much launch this Jmeter window. So in order for me to test this, I cannot use that dummy REST API because it's going to limit me for 1 or 2 requests per minute. Okay, so I cannot do a load testing on that dummy website. Okay, so I'm going to do google.com. Okay, so I can go to google.com and search for some keywords, right? So I'm going to search for 6com or Miracle Solutions, or okay, so I'm going to say google.com. Okay, let's go there. Let's search for this, right? So on the high level, let's say beach. Okay, beaches near me. Okay, so that is the keyword that we are searching for, and I'm going to remove all this URL at the end. Okay, so all we need is this URL. Q is query. Okay, query equal to beaches near me. Okay, so that is all we need. So if I copy this, before I give it to you guys, if I hit enter, okay, so that works fine. Okay, so this is the URL that we're going to search for. You can change it to anything you want, but I'm going to use this URL to test, to do some load testing. Okay, so I'm going to send maybe 100 requests, and I'm going to show you how the JMeter is going to help me do that load testing. Okay, okay, so I have the JMeter here, and you're going to see this edit options. Hold on. Okay, in the edit menu, there's an add. Hopefully you guys can see it, but there's an add, and in the add there is yep, there is a HTTP request that I can make. Yeah, first let me create a test group. Okay, all right, so JMeter lets you test so many things, not just REST API endpoints. You can also create a file. You can read from a file. You can actually make a SOAP request, or you can even write your custom script like a Python script, and you can run that script hundreds of times. Okay, so it can do various different things. So that's why you see so many options here. One second. I have a test plan here. Okay, I'm going to go to preprocessors. Okay, and I'm going to say post processor. Okay, yeah, give me 1 second. So we have our friend Google. So I'm gonna search in there. Jmeter create API or test API endpoint. Okay. So again, you don't have to know all the details at a high level. You need to know what is the tool, what does it help you, and all that. Okay. Okay. So okay. So Jmeter has this JMX file. Okay. Actually done before. Give me 1 second. So I'm gonna try something out. If it works, then I will tell you guys. I'm gonna say something. Okay. Okay. So we need to add a thread group first. Okay. All right. So thread group is how many threads you want to create and all that. Okay. So okay, thread group. Okay. I created add a thread group. Um, number of threads, one is fine. All that one is fine. Okay. So in that thread group, there you go. Now I see more options. Okay. Add a HTTP request, add sampler, HTTP. Okay. So this option wasn't there before, but after I added the thread group, it shows up. Okay. So Jmeter is changing the behavior based on the progress of the test case. Okay. So anyways, so here I added a test group, and within the test group, I'm adding a HTTP request. Okay. So I'm going to say Google endpoint. And here you can see the same things that we saw before. Okay, you have a get request, post, head, put, delete, and all those kind of requests. Here I'm going to do a get request. Okay, and the URL is going to be uh, our URL, which is beaches near me. Okay, so I'll go back to Jmeter. Okay, I'm going to specify the URL as So that is the URL that I'm going to look for. Again, if there are parameters, you can specify. If there is any body data, you can specify the body here and all that. Okay. So for now, I don't have any body or anything. So I'm just going to say this. And you're going to see the small green arrow on the top. I really hope you guys can see it. So when you press on that arrow, you should save before running. Okay, yes, I'm going to save it. I'm going to say Google endpoint.jnx, that's fine. Okay, so now I'm running this. So when I press the green arrow, it actually ran this. Okay, it didn't show me the results because I don't have a results tree here. Let me go back to this. Content type, okay, add a listener to see the request response. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, perfect. Okay, there you go. So I did a couple of things. One is I added the thread group first. Okay. So by default, there was a test plan. And under the test plan, I created a thread group. Thread group is, you can assume this, how many users do you want to mimic? Okay. So in this case, I have only one user, but I'm going to pretty soon change this to 100 users or 1,000 users. And so on. Okay, so here I have one user making one request. Okay, we can play with these parameters. We can change it to whatever we want. Okay, and under the thread group, I have the endpoint, which is a HTTP endpoint. Okay, they have the Google, which is pretty much saying this is the endpoint to get request. Get me this result, which is beaches near me. Now, once it gets the results, you want to see what is the results tree going to look like. Okay, so I added a view results that is going to show me what are the results, what is the response going to look like, and all that. Okay, so reiterating one more time. So we have the test case initially. I added a thread group. Okay, so if you go to edit options, you're going to see add, and in the add, there's a thread group. Okay, so you can add the thread group. Once you add the thread group, it shows up. If you go to edit one more time, under the thread group, it's going to show up add, and you're going to see HTTP request. Okay, so if I go here and say edit, you're going to see sampler, and in the sampler there's a HTTP request. Okay, so that is what you want to do. Okay, so this is going to create or lets you create a different HTTP endpoint and all that. Okay, and within that endpoint you can specify whether it's a GET request or what is the URL, if there are any parameters, all that, similar to Postman, what we saw before. Okay, and then I went to edit, and there's a view results tree, and it can show you the results. Okay, so here I ran this green arrow, and when I click on the green arrow, it runs one time because I specified the users as one. Okay, so when I change it to more, it will run more. But yeah, so here it ran once, and you can see the request. It shows up the request here. Yeah, I can't increase the font here. But yeah, it's making a GET request to that URL that I have specified. Okay, so you can also see the response tab. I'm going to click on the response tab now. So it gives me the response. Okay, so this is the whole entire response that I got back. Okay, so along with this, I also want to see some statistics. Okay, like how much time did it take for this guy to respond back the results. Okay, for that, I need to add a statistics, which is aggregate report. Yeah. I'm going to go to add listener and aggregate report. Okay, so the aggregate report is going to aggregate all the results, and it's going to show me how long it took and all that. Okay, so I'm going to clear all this. So you see a broom arrow here, broom icon. So if you click on the broom, it's going to clear all the results. Okay, the previous results are all gone. Okay, I'm going to click on this. So all the previous results were gone. And I'm going to click on the green arrow now. And you're going to see this one request that went out, and this is the response that I got back. and I'm going to go to aggregate report. The aggregate report is going to show me how much time it took and all that. Okay, so number of samples is 1, okay, because we sent 1 request, and average was 1000 milliseconds. Okay, 1000 milliseconds. So this shows up in milliseconds. Okay, wow, exactly 1000 milliseconds. Interesting. Okay, fine. So it took 1 second to get the response data. Okay, and you're going to see 90%, 95%. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to go back to thread group, and I'm going to simulate more users. Okay, I want to simulate maybe 100 users. Okay, so I'm going to say number of threads 100. Okay, 100 users, and I want each user to send 1 request. Okay, so I'm going to go to the view results tree. I'm going to click on this broom icon, sorry, and it's going to clear the results. And I'm going to press on this green arrow, a green icon, which is going to run the results or run the test. And you can see 100 requests went out only one time. Okay, all at the same time. Okay, if I click on one of them, I can see the result here. Okay, now I'm going to go to aggregate report. Something is wrong here because it's telling me that on an average it took 1019 milliseconds, but that's not true because I got the results much faster. So the average should be less than that. So let me just go back here and see. Fine. So I think it's telling me the average for the 100 requests was, yeah, still that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, let me go to the thread group. I'm going to increase the number of requests each user can make. So I'm going to say each user can make 100 requests and simulate 100 users. So total there should be 10,000 requests. Sorry, 100 times 100 is what? Yeah, 10,000 requests. Those are the number of requests that has to go out. Okay, and I want to run this for 60 seconds. Okay, 60 seconds or maybe 10 seconds. Okay, so let's see. So 10 seconds. Each second, 100 requests are sending 100 users are sending 100 requests. Okay, I'm going to press on this broom icon. It's going to clear up the results. I'm going to press on this green arrow. It's going to run for 10 seconds. You can see that it's sending the results. Okay, for 10 seconds, it's going to keep on sending, and now it's done. Okay, so I'm going to go to aggregate report. Okay, fine. So it's telling me that what is the average time it took for each request to get a response. Okay, it's also telling me what's the median time. There's also 90% time. That means 90% of the requests are done within that time period. Okay, and there's a 95%, which means 95% of the requests are done within that time period. Same thing, 99%. That means 99% of the requests are done within that time period. Why is that important? Because when you're developing an application, there is a certain agreement that 90% of the requests have to be done within, let's say, 10 milliseconds, 100 milliseconds. Okay. Maybe there are some extreme use cases, but generally people want to look at 90% line or 95% of the line. Okay. So if 95% of the customers are happy, they're happy. Maybe there are some extreme use cases where maybe some users are experiencing certain problems, but at least these are the guidelines, like 99% of the customers should be happy or so on. So they look at 99% line and say, okay, so how much time did it take for the 99% of the requests to be processed? So that 99% line tells you what's the average for that 99% of the requests. Okay. There's also min and max. That is the minimum time that it took out of all those 10,000 requests. Okay. And there's also maximum time. That means what was the maximum time that was taken out of those 10,000 requests. Okay, so this JMeter is going to time all those things. It can simulate the number of users, it can simulate the number of requests, it can run for given amount of time, and it's also going to time each request. It's going to give you the statistics in the very end and all that. Okay, you can do multiple other things. So what I showed you is a simple HTTP request. Okay, you can also add other use cases where, let's say, you're trying to create a file. Okay, and you want to see how long creation of a file is taking, or you want to write to a file. You are putting some data in a file. Okay, so how long is that taking? You're generating a report. How long is the report taking? All that you can time it using JMeter. You can actually create the load and all that, and you can see how the performance is. But most of the times we use it to test the server, which is API endpoints kind of stuff and so on. Okay, so this is at a high level what the load and performance test tool is, JMeter. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, guys. So just to reiterate, we looked at Postman, SOAP UI, and JMeter. Okay, so these are three very important tools that you'll be encountering when you're in this testing role. Okay, QA role, QA, quality automation, quality engineering. Your job is to make sure the quality is good, the product quality is meeting expectations. Okay. All right, guys. So we started off a little late, but since there are very few people, I'm going to end here. So what I want to do before we leave, I want to give you a small assignment. So you guys can work on it. First thing I want to do is create a Postman collection with following test cases. Okay. Uh, get request to, since I picked up a fake dummy server, I want you guys to test a real web server, real website like Amazon.com. Okay, so you're gonna go to Amazon.com and you're gonna search for, let's say, iPhone, or maybe whatever product you want to search for. Okay, you're gonna search for iPhone, and this is the URL, right? So you're gonna select that URL, okay, or maybe the whole URL, whatever you want to do. Okay, so get request to Amazon to search or product search details. Okay, and the next one is, so this all inside Postman. Okay, so you're gonna make a get request, in the sense this is pretty much a get request. Okay, so you can put this in the Postman. You can make a get request. You're gonna get a web page back. Okay, and then you're gonna say get request for an individual item. So when I click on the item, it shows me the item details, right? So this is also a get request. So you're gonna say get request to Amazon to get item details. Okay. Second, do the same with Apache Jmeter. Oh, by the way, in Apache Jmeter, once I have the test case, I can save it. Okay. Okay. Let me save it as save as. Okay. So when I try to save it, it saves as you can see .jmx. Okay. .jmx means that it's a Jmeter XML file. Okay. So it saves in XML file, which we were looking at a second back. So it saves it something like this. Okay. So this is the XML file that it saves as, and it has all the settings and everything. It describes those kind of stuff and so on. So you can share this JMX file with other one of your team members or so on. Okay, or if other people have written the JMX files, you can download them and you can run it from your Jmeter. Okay. So I'm going to say here, do the same with Apache Jmeter. Create JMX to do the above two. Okay. So first, yeah, pretty much you're going to write two JMX files testing the request, get request with the search and the get request with item details, but with the 100 users and 100 requests at a time. Okay. And the bonus would be the same as Postman and SOAP UI. Okay. I mean, this not mandatory. I mean, you can see if you have enough time, patience, you can look at the SOAP UI. But yeah, so these are the things I want you guys to do. We put that in the GoToMeeting chat. Copy that, because once I close the session, you may not be able to access it. And if once you have the JMX files, or you can take a snapshot of that and you can send it to me at also at bcgnj.com. Okay. Okay. Any questions on this, or any questions in general? So these are the three main tools: Postman, SOAP UI, and Jmeter. And if these tools are not in your resume, I would say put it in your resume, because clients will be looking for people who have used these tools. Okay. So your profile will show up in the search results, and you'll get more calls. Okay. Okay, guys. So if no questions and everything is good, I'm gonna end this here. All right, guys. So enjoy your weekend. Take care, guys. Bye.